Indy. One word says it all. And for the second time, this legendary venue hosts one of motorsport's most prestigious events, the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Together, it's a can't-miss bucket list event, and almost 900 entries have arrived, all pursuing two things: a chance to kiss the bricks and a gold medal that says champion. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a still somewhat dark Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we get this second day of action for the SCCA National Championship Runoffs in its 58th running underway. Our broadcast today will be brought to you and presented by the fine folks at Mazda. I'm Greg Creamer. Alongside is Tom O'Gorman. Hayward Wagner down in the grid and pits. Welcome to Haggerty Race Day. And you know the old saying about red sky at night, sailors delight, red sky at morning, sailors take warning. Well, you saw the red sky, but that's not going to be until this afternoon from what we understand. So we are getting ready to go. This one should be a lot of fun, STU, and I'll tell you what, these cars are getting around this 2.6 mile, 14 turn racetrack here, the road course at IMS. Let's take a look at our Mazda track map. And it's a track that presents lots of different challenges.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. And this class also, the storyline is diversity, and we'll take a look at how the sectors of this track break down and how that will apply. So we start the lap off on the front straightaway, going what most would call the wrong way, but towards turn one. Very wide and very heavy braking zone into turn one, a sweep through turns 2 and 3. Very tricky if you end up side by side through there. Then a quick tap of the brakes to tuck the nose for turn 4. Flat out again through turn 5 before the carousel at turn 6. Lots of line options, both in racecraft and in carrying speed. Then you sweep into turn 6, down the Holman straight. That completes sector 1, a very long sector with lots of straights. Then we come into sector 2 for turns 7, 8, 9, and 10. Turn 7 very fast, and then 8, 9, 10, each successively tighter. This is a tight and twisty section, even though it's pretty short. A car in sector 2 is going to be really tough to pass. Then we get into sector 3, turn 11s, 12, 13, and 14. A heavy braking zone, a couple of point and shoots between 12 and 13, and then the acceleration zone back up onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, it is really a racy track. It's a lot of fun. You know, the folks at Mazda do a lot more than present the track map here at the Runoffs. They support their drivers with face-to-face and virtual coaching at events throughout the season. They are truly deeply involved. And a guy who is deeply embedded right now is Hayward Wagner down amongst them in the STU pre-grid. Hayward, what are you finding?
Good morning, guys. I'm down here in the STU grid, as you mentioned. We want to take a look at this car right here. This is Chip Herr driving a former World Challenge Audi. This car was actually built in Germany, initially by Audi Sport, shipped to the United States. A World Challenge team built it into a race car for the World Challenge Series. Chip drove this car as a pro back in the day, liked it so much that he bought it, is now running it in SCCA road racing. This is the kind of car STU was conceived to cater to. A former pro car, has some history, has some pedigree, sitting in a garage somewhere. Let's get a car like that back out on track. But there's also room in STU for cars like this one. This is Kip Van Steenberg's Porsche 944. He's won a national championship with this car previously in E-Production. He didn't love the way the E-Production rules were going. He decided to come over to STU. Put a bigger motor in it, some aero body work. He's sitting third on the grid. But the car that's going to roll off in front of all of us is the little Honda up front. This car is a full 1,000 pounds lighter than the two cars behind it. It's running a 2-liter B-Series Honda motor, 2,102 pounds. The lightest car in the field on the front of the grid, the lowest horsepower. And guys, in these conditions, what's super important, all 3 of these cars are running the Hoosier A7 compound tire. So our pole sitter is hoping that those heavy, faster cars run those tires off real quick.
All right, thanks very much, Hayward. Great stuff down there. Yeah, this car actually is a defending national champion, just not in this class. That big conversion happened.
Yeah, he transferred it over from STL, and if you're wondering what those STs stand for, it's Super Touring, Light, and Under. This is under, and that means under 2.3 liters of displacement for the motor. You also have a couple of turbo cars allowed, and the big story with this class, as I mentioned, is the diversity that we have. In the top 10, there are 9 out of 10 unique makes and models. In the top 15, there are 12. We have front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive, mid-engined, front-engined. We have forced induction and naturally aspirated. Most classes don't have a claim to fame. Some get to be the fastest, some get to be the biggest. I think STU gets to be the most diverse.
Boy, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, Chip Herr, I had the pleasure of announcing him back in the day when he was racing in World Challenge in that Audi, and he was spectacular, and great to see him back and running here. Well, here we go. The cars are leaving the pre-grid and heading out for the pace lap. Let's take you through the starting order. On the pole, Joe Moser, who of course comes here as a defending champ, but in a different class in his number 36 Kin Motorsports Honda CRX SI. By the way, he went to Florida for the first couple of races at Sebring and Homestead, 2 track records in that car, so they knew out of the box that it was quick. Starting outside row 1, the number 18 of Chip Herr out of Linnitz, Pennsylvania, in the Carbotech and Hoosier Audi A4. Second row, the number 4 Porsche of Kip Van Steenberg out of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, Central Florida. The German Excellence machine in the 86 of Alex Cabrera out of Windermere, Florida, Central Florida region, in the 86 Racing Honda. In the third row, inside, number 5 on the grid, 112, Dominic Starkweather out of Cave Creek, Arizona. And in the 6th spot, the 72 of Anthony Girazzi in the Krug Speed, and that is that mid-engine Lotus Exige. Starting in the 7th spot, the number 19 of Mark Liller out of Alexandria, Virginia, Washington, D.C. region. I love the name of this, Angry Sheep Motorsports, Hoosier and Carbotech supporting that program. Starting 8th, the number 49 of Seth Huntley from Rancho Cordova, California, San Francisco region, Driving Ambition, Comp Tech, and Hoosier Honda S2000. Starting in the 9th spot, the number 199 is Jose Osirie Pena out of Miami, Florida, and the Maz Race Team Toyota. Starting 10th, the number 24, Ian Barberi out of Pleasanton, California, San Francisco region, the Eldorado Motorsports Honda CRX. Starting 11th, the number 70 of Darren Treacle out of Marshall, Virginia, Washington, D.C. region, in the Treacle Insurance Agency BMW. Starting 12th to 39 of Jorge Ortiz out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and he is in the Race Factory and Real Street Honda Civic. Starting 13th, John Weisberg. He's out of Webster, New York, and he's in the Redcom Labs Redline Oil Berg Racing Mazda MX-5. Starting 14th to 35, Patrick Lipsinek out of Oklahoma City in the northeastern Oklahoma region, the PW Turning Subaru Impreza. Starting in the 15th spot, 17, Whitfield Gregg out of Bellevue, Washington, in the Flat Out Motorsports Miata. 16th, the 188 of Kevin LaChance out of Black Falls, Alabama, in the Honda S2000. Starting 17th to 25 of Robert Verena Jr. out of Zillionope, I think that's Pennsylvania, the BMW. Starting in the 18th spot, the 51 of Raymond Philibert out of Pompano Beach, Florida, in the MR Drywall Services Miata. Starting 19th, 171, Mark Johnston in the Jersey Mike's Nissan. 20th, the number 59, Enrique Gelpi in the Honda. Starting 21st, the 65 of Jorge Nazario out of San Juan in the Texmania Mazda. Starting in the 22nd spot, the 113 of Thomas Wiegner out of St. Charles, Illinois, in the Subaru. Starting in the 23rd spot, the 75 of James Slecht out of Moab, Utah, and the Alien Force Racing. I love it. Utah Alien Force. Like that one a lot. Nissan 300CX. Starting 24th, the 73 of Tim Hunter from Corona Del Mar, California. 25th, the 05 of Alan Orban out of Hazelwood, Missouri, in the Dodge Neon. And joining him, another Neon in the 26th starting spot on row 13, the number 8 of Maury Doyle out of Indy, hometown favorite here in the EAC Performance Dodge Neon. Starting 27th, the number 5, Dina Weisberg out of Webster, New York, and another Redcom Labs Berg Racing Miata. Starting 28th, the number 20, Peter Federland out of Austin, Texas, in the Toyota Supra. And rounding out the field, starting 29th, the 181 of Scott Peterson out of Parkville, Missouri, in his Mazda RX-7. And here we go. Pace car is in. Moser and Herr bringing the field out of that final turn as we get set for 19 laps or 40 minutes of racing. Whatever comes first. Look back there. That's Axel Cabrera just sort of peeking out a little bit. And everybody just trying to get a view of the flag stand. And we're green. And let's see what happens. Look at the fan out. Oh, is that an engine that let go, or is that brake lockup?
Not sure, Greg. It looks like an engine. It is one of the supercharged BRZs has let a motor go right in the middle of the field, but it is Moser that gets a breakaway from the front. 3 wide for second in the back. Liller almost gets to the back of Anthony Girazzi in the yellow Exige.
Everybody so far through, a little bit up on the curb there, but everybody's slicing through. That was Weisberg climbing that curb. Looking back to the field, Moser immediately hops out to a little bit of a lead. And right there is the Cabrera, the 86, trying to fend off that Lotus, who had a great start. Anthony Girazzi jumping up from 6th into 4th early here. Big wide arc as everybody trying to figure out the grip level here. We don't have a morning warm-up, And this track, these are different conditions than we saw in a lot of the qualifying. A lot cooler and cloudier this morning.
Yeah, definitely cooler. And I really thought that we would see Chip Herr in that turbo Audi get a good jump off the start. We're going to go full course yellow as the field kind of stacking themselves up. You see everyone hard on the brakes. It looks like one of our drivers, maybe Cabrera, not seeing it quite yet. But that was Dominic Starkweather in the number 112 that had the engine expire right on the green flag. Looks like he put his foot down and popped it, which is a real heartbreak because he was in the top 5 on the grid.
He sure was, and I'm guessing that's what it's for. And the problem is, one, he might be stopped on that front straight. 2, might have some fluid down there as well. So we'll see how this pans out. So now everybody sort of checks up a little bit. Let's go back, take another look at that start. Here they come out looking for that green.
Watch that red BRZ that's in the 3rd row. As soon as the flag comes out, there is the big cloud of smoke, and we did hear from Hayward on the pit lane that there is massive oil down the front straight. Now, that is relatively offline, and it is a big straightaway, so hopefully he wasn't losing it on the warm-up lap, and we can get it cleaned up pretty quickly. But again, we were surprised to see the turbo car not jump to the lead with this nice cool conditions, having a little bit more power as well. The straight line speed that Hayward alluded to for that CRX maybe isn't as insufficient as we thought.
Well, and it might be that car's so light, it just gets up and goes a little bit more responsive. Let's get down to the pits and Hayward. All right,
we'll get at the stripe.
Hayward, can you go ahead and repeat that?
Yeah. So you can probably see the brush truck putting the kitty litter down behind me. It's about a 2-foot wide strip of oil that starts here at the front straight, goes to wherever the car ended up, but there's nowhere to get away here at Indy. He couldn't pull off into the grass. He did a good job of getting as far wide as he could, but this is about a 2-foot wide strip of oil all the way down the front straight.
All right, thanks for that. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're between the barriers. It is well offline, but every once in a while you'll see the guys come out and they'll swing over to try and break the draft or the like, and you just don't want to take any chances. That's a high-speed straight, and you get oil down. That is absolutely wickedly dangerous for a race car.
It really is, and also a huge, I mean, congratulations to the field for not collecting Starkweather, not only because he was going so slow, not accelerating at the green flag, but they couldn't see him at all. You saw the visibility in the cars coming through that cloud, so the fact that we kept that thing clean through the entire front straightaway is pretty impressive for all of these drivers. Nice and awake this morning now at about 8:15 Eastern time.
Really, that'll get the old adrenaline pumping, running into a white wall. Just want to make note, of course, Joe Moser is was the tire rack pole sitter with that lap, putting him out front. We are going to have a new champion in this class. The defending champ is not here, so extra motivation for everybody. And also, we had a couple of very special awards too that are presented. We're going to have the Sunoco Hard Charger Award for the driver that makes up the most places during the course of the race, courtesy of Sunoco, the official fuel of the SCCA. We also have the Hawk Breakthrough Performer, which is the most positions improved from qualifying on Tuesday to Wednesday, and that's courtesy of Hawk Brakes and Hawk Performance, the official brake partner of the SCCA. So just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out. We mentioned it's Haggerty Race Day, and they're the official insurance partner of the SCCA, and it's really crucial to have those kind of partners, and we very much appreciate all their support here. And they're just working on that cleanup right now.
Interesting to see that Kip Van Steenberg, that was qualified 3rd, Hayward pointed out that beautiful Porsche 944 on the grid, slipped all the way to 9th somehow on that start, and he actually started in front of Starkweather, so that was unrelated to the incident of the oil engine expiring, I should say, on the front straightaway. There's that black 944, slipped well back.
Yeah.
The car right in front is actually Patrick Lipsinick in that 2.5 RS Subaru Impreza, up from 14th, so there was some pretty serious shuffling there through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. But that number 4 car is extremely quick, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it charging back through the field. Unfortunately, he's on his heels just a little bit.
I just want to point out our Hawk Breakthrough Performer in this race, the number 39 of Jorge Ortiz, who picked up 12 spots from his Tuesday qualifying in his Honda Civic to where he ran on Wednesday, ultimately started in the 12th spot. So nice job by Jorge here. And as we're under caution here, an opportunity to hear from a few of those very special partners, and we will be back with racing.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land. Where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
Welcome back to Hagerty Race Day here for STU and the run for the gold in this really, really fun class. It's one of the newer classes in SCCA. I mean, some of these classes go back to the 50s where they first started doing the run-ups. This one's kind of new. And Hayward was talking about the fact that SCCA has done, I think, a great job of trying to create classes that you can take your car and move it up into pro racing, or you can take your pro car and come and run in a class here. And I think they've done a nice job with it. We've seen that Krug-Speed Lotus racing in World Challenge competition. They really do that well.
I was going to point that out as well. We have a perfect example of that. 2 of the 4 cars are ex-pro racing cars in that top 4. 2 are built for this class. So the 2 Hondas, the first and third place cars, are built for STU. They are either between 2 and 2.4 liter engines in those cars, or you have the Audi of Chip Herr or the Anthony Girassi Lotus Exige there. Those are both retired pro racing cars brought into this category. And the way that the rules are written for this category, they're a little bit less complex, a little bit more open-ended for the options to bring that in. And we've already pointed out the diversity. You can just see the cars scrolling through the shots. There's so much diversity in this class.
And yeah, you would think Anthony Girassi in that Lotus, the longer this race were to go green, the quicker he'd become because of the handling. It's so easy on tires and the like. This yellow not helping him at all. Same thing for Moser. I think he wanted to go after it. And Chip Herr, well, he was just wishing this race was going to be about 4 o'clock this afternoon in the wet in that all-wheel drive Audi.
Yeah, he sure was. But Girassi does tend to be a little bit of a grower in this car. He builds throughout the race, so I agree. But the sleeper, I think, is maybe Axel Cabrera there in that EG Honda Civic, the 86 car. He's sitting in 3rd place, started 4th, had a good start there, and that car seems to be pretty quick in a straight line, too.
And there was a lot of debate, from what I understand, before the season started about would a smaller displacement, lightweight car really be competitive in this class. And I know Moser and his gang looked at it, and said, we think it can work. And that's why they went with the option they did with dropping that VTEC engine in to his car. But as we've seen, obviously Cabrera, that car got up and went pretty quick from the off here, so they seem to be working.
Yeah, really.
And I'm sorry, but this caution, front-wheel drive cars just pace those front tires, especially the lefts here, because you got these long-duration left-handers here. This caution is probably not bad for them.
Yeah, I can't really see a car that this caution isn't good for, except for that Exige. We have the front-wheel drive cars, obviously, and then we have the heavy Audi. It's going to be nose-heavy as well and all-wheel drive. But I was going to point out something that left my mind. Back to you, Greg.
Funny how that happened. One of the great calls. I got nothing.
Yeah, and I got
actually, we had a...
Came back to me. It really is a game of power to weight.
Yes.
You look at the different weights between the CRX and the Audi, 1,000 pounds different. Yes, they make drastically different power, but when it comes down to it, if they're at the same power to weight, they're theoretically going to have the same acceleration rates, more or less. They're going to have similar speeds, and they're going to race really well.
Hey, don't feel bad. One of the true crimes in broadcasting is when the booth announcer takes away the pit guys thing.
Oh.
And many years ago at a race, I don't remember who was in the booth, but they threw it down to the pit guy, and in the throw, they took exactly what he was going to say, and the guy was pretty new at the game, and he was in his talkback saying, "Don't throw it now," and they still threw it, and he went, "I got nothing." So it happens, you know. But yeah, this is going to be and once we get going here, this is going to be really, really intriguing. And that power to weight, I mean, that's the basis of so much in racing. And then you do the little tweaks here and there, but it really drives. That's the equation that drives everything. And hoping we're going to be able to get going here in pretty short order. And I'm really curious to see now if Kip Van Steenberg in that Porsche 944 that had that really awful start, and we didn't see it. He may have just been freight trained.
Yeah, it's very possible, and we talked about on the track map, going down into turn 1 is a pretty severe pinch point, and he was going to be on that inside, maybe got pinched to the inside curb and just swept around the outside, but did a bunch of cars. A couple of cars that got great starts, though. Mark Liller from 3rd up to, from 7th to 5th, and then Jose Osiris Pena from 9th to 6th. That's the silver neon SRT4, and then that kind of gray and highlighter yellow Toyota GT86. Both of those cars are 2 that leapfrogged Kip Van Steenberg.
Now that just means Kip's got some work to do out there right now. And those Dodge Neons, the SRT4s, those cars have always been, I mean, they're pretty quick in a straight line. And there's a couple of them in this field. And that silver number 19 had a big spin when I was working out at turn 14 on Wednesday. It got help coming up through 14, and guy was trying, I think guy was trying to just bump draft him and really give him a good push, and got him while they were still turning, and it turned him, and somehow he kept it off of the barriers and came back out and put in a pretty darn good lap and qualified up in the top 7. That may have lit the fuse for him a little bit.
For sure, he definitely used the power under that engine, under the hood, I should say, to get up to that 5th spot that he sits right now. And he finished, I believe, 3rd in this class last time we were at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now that race 5 years ago in this category was a race of attrition. No one wanted to win that race, and I think the guy that was running 4th ended up winning. Liller was outside the top 10 at one point, I think, and he ended up in 3rd. But this year he's there on merit, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah, he is really a good qualifying run. So looks like we're going to have at least one more lap here under caution. Got to ask you, I mean, you've done pro racing, and you've been in this kind of scenario where you're up on the wheel, you're ready to go, and then you get this long caution period. What are you dealing with inside the car? What do you know, if you got radios, you talking to the crew?
It's got to be it's a personality choice. I think my personal preference, I'd like to distract myself and be really relaxed. I want to be, if I got a crew guy, I tend to be having casual conversation, usually pretty lighthearted, joking around. I don't tend to be a silence and horse blinders type of driver, but I know that there are drivers that are like that, and it works for them. So I think the key with being a top tier driver like these guys are, or like the pros are, is knowing your personality and knowing your choices that you can, do you want to isolate yourself on the grid, go do push-ups, get yourself amped? Do you want to be out, socializing? When you figure out your flow, that's when you're going to be most successful.
Listen to Skinner, listen to techno.
Yeah,
it's these little routines that all drivers have. And we just got word that we are going green next time by, so this one's going to get going. There's a good look at Mark Johnston, the Nissan 240 SX out of Hedgeville, West Virginia. And this is part of the great, as you pointed out, the diversity in this field. Started in the 19th spot in the Jersey Mike's Alien Force Racing machine, and that's just part of that great diversity here. And that's a 200. The SX, there's I love the James Slechta's paint job, mirroring the old Johnny O'Connell, Steve Millen Nissan 300s that used to run an IMSA in GTS. I mean, there's some really good graphics on these cars too. They take a lot of pride in presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these cars are just so cool. I'm personally partial to Kip Van Steenberg's 944. I know it's not a livery, but that car, the presence of that car is just pretty imposing. I think it looks awesome. But especially with the pedigree of a lot of these cars, either a reference to a pro racing car or being an ex-pro racing car, they're really iconic. I know I grew up watching Chip Herr race this car professionally. So for me to see that car on a racetrack is just a little bit of a throwback and pretty cool.
And to know that Chip's driving it too, that's really cool to have him back and playing. And I tell you, we were talking about this off mic before the show started. One of my favorite pieces of video was Chip Herr rode America through the carousel, and it was a tails away shot through the last half of the carousel, and he was in big opposite lock, just monster drift, and that thing just pinned it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And he loved to just drive this car. So I'm glad he was able to arrange to purchase it and bring it here and display it in SCCA.
That's how you know the car was good, when you buy it back 15 years later and,
Exactly.
and want to keep racing it.
Yeah, that says an awful lot. Fits him like a glove, apparently, and we're the better for it for sure. So we are going to be going back at it here. Look there at the number 70. That's Darren Treacle out of Marshall, Virginia, the Treacle Insurance Agency, BMW 325, and started in the 11th spot. Dropped a couple of spots at the start, back to 14th. So work for some of these guys to do. Pace car is in, and we are getting ready to go. Here comes Moser, that beautiful orange Honda CRX, bringing him up to resume racing here, starting lap 6 of 19 or 40 minutes. Green is back out. We're racing again. And Moser did a really nice job. But look at the run the Lotus got. Girazzi on Cabrera here. And Chip Herr had to defend. Cabrera got such a good run, and that may let Girazzi go around both of them. That car's going to be really agile in the brakes. He's there. He's second. Cabrera trying to stay to the outside of Herr and take over that third spot. And Chip has to give way. Great restarts by the cars starting third and fourth, I should say.
Yeah, they made it count when they had the opportunity. I'm curious to see where the strengths of Chip's Herr car lie, because we thought it was going to be in a straight line, but it seems to be maybe he's the slowest of the top 4 in a straight line. Moser is checking out. Now Cabrera's getting a lot of pressure. It's on the brakes. The Audi is really good.
Yeah, the Audi is phenomenal. You can see Cabrera unloading that, or locking up that unloaded rear tire. You're going to see that a lot with those front drive cars. And Chip is going to be relentless right here, but already Moser has been able to open up a little bit of a margin. Then Girazzi finds himself, but here comes Cabrera, and Cabrera looks like he's got a pretty good head of steam down into turn 7. This is the flowing version of turn 7, not the tight left. And then through this sequence, ooh, Cabrera saying, I'm here. Did he just loosen him up a little bit?
I'm surprised it didn't loosen him up more. Girazzi was taking his time through turns 8 and 9, and Cabrera was having none of it, just squared him up right in the rear and pushed him. So now he's got to run up through turn 11 into turn 12, but that Civic has been a little sketchy on the brakes. There's the smoke again. He's going to flat spot that inside rear tire if he's not careful.
And gets it woed down. Look at that. Girazzi trying to stay even around the outside. And these are the dynamics of a race that I love when you're in the middle of a pack, because you're thinking about the move you want to make in the guy in front, but you've always got to keep an eye on the guy behind you, especially when it's a really fast, savvy driver, because you open the door up, they're coming through.
That's what I call driving off Spidey sense. Look at the Exige up the front straight. They almost touch. Very close stuff down the Indianapolis Motor Speedway front straightaway. Cabrera tucks in now to get the draft, and look at Liller on Herr. Big dive on the brakes down into turn number 1. He might be too deep. Does Cabrera see him? Yes, he gets it stopped.
Oh, and Lillard, nice job there. He ate a lot of curb to avoid the contact, and that now has allowed the 199 of Jose Orisis Pena in the Toyota to come up and take a run. Lillard, though, still on the inside. Oh, Pena got trapped out a little bit. I think that's Huntley diving down the inside in the Honda S2000.
Again, we don't have a repeat make and model until we get outside the top 10 at this point. So cool. I think that FRS is supercharged, so it's got some grunt as well. And then we have a Civic lurking in the background. Jorge Ortiz in the gray Civic is waiting and lurking, but that S2000 looking good this lap, now attacking on the SRT4 of Liller.
Yeah, it's impressive. And Ortiz started in the 12th spot, now up into that 8th position, and Van Steenberg just dropping again. He's now down to 10th. Really curious what's going on there. So quick in qualifying.
It took him a while in qualifying, didn't set his best time until day 3, and actually didn't even get a time in day 1, so perhaps some mechanical gremlins going on, but he looks uncomfortable. You see him really not opening up the corners on entry, to kind of pinching himself off in places. I wonder if he's just not feeling it today.
Yeah. And, you know, oftentimes if your car has a push, you need to turn in a little early, don't you? Maybe something's just gone off in terms of the setup, and you're struggling to get it to the apex if you would drive a normal line. You have to keep an eye on that. So that's the number 24, Ian Barberi. He and Steinberg right now are having a nice battle, but it's in the back. Look at the lead Moser has opened up while we saw that battling with Girazzi in the Lotus and Cabrera in the Civic and Chip Herr. Moser has just made good his escape.
really made the first green flag lap count, but last time through he actually wasn't all that different from the next couple cars behind. So Moser maybe kind of stabilizing his pace. Meanwhile, there we saw Jose Osiris Pena get by Seth Huntley on the brakes. That's the neon yellow FRS getting through on the S2000, and they've kind of distracted themselves a bit and lost touch with the back of Mark Liller.
Yeah, Mark has been able to, as you said, there he goes, just gap them a little bit. Things are sort of settling here at this point. We get to this, you know, every race has that little bit where everybody, you know, sort of settles in, and then you start studying, where can I make my move? Am I strong compared to this guy's weakness? What do I have to do? And Chip Herr has reeled in now Cabrera again. He dropped off just a little bit, but he's right there, and Liller is throwing down some laps right now.
He's looking really good in that neon. And thinking back to last year's championship race at Road America, we had the race take a couple different shapes. We had a pole sitter, David Fiorelli, in a similar car to what you see on screen right there, an FRS with a supercharger. He led most of the race, was on pole, but the car was really heavy, and he just got slower and slower. And all of a sudden, Paul Hassan in a lighter BMW came out of nowhere and took the win. So this shape, the shape of this race may change over the next 18 minutes, as we see still dragging that inside rear tire is Cabrera. I just hope he doesn't have a blowout. That's the only issue you have to worry about when that is happening.
Yeah, I mean, front, and Chip running a little wide, but it's all-wheel drive, just doing a little rallying right there. But yeah, I mean, those rear tires, I mean, you know, in a front drive car, they're just sort of there to give you a four-wheel platform because everything's happening at the front. But as you said, if you drag it like that too much, it can pop. Herr got a good run here, makes the move. This would be for the final podium spot. Question is he, oh! Big lock up there by Cabrera, and Herr slides through. And Cabrera just tried to out deep Herr just a little bit, and it snuck away from him for a second. Great save.
Yeah, clearly that EG Civic from the early 90s, no ABS installed in that car, and he's having to do it all with his right foot. Got it a little bit wrong on the first initial hit, locked up the rear tires, and went for a little bit of a slide, but it was a good save, especially not to go into the door of the 18 of Chip Herr, and now he's back through for a podium contention spot.
See now if Chip has anything for Girazzi in the Lotus. Moser up the road already to about 5.5 seconds. There you can see him just going out of frame. And here is this battle. Girazzi in the yellow Lotus, Herr in the silver and red Audi, and behind them the white Honda of Cabrera. And closing in is Liller in that silver neon. Look behind him at the 199 of Osiris Pena. There is Liller. Very distinctive sound out of that neon. Oh, look at this. Cabrera coming right back at Herr. And Liller watching it, hoping that they'll get to racing each other, slow themselves down, and let him get up to this battle here.
Chip Herr feeling the pressure. You see him move a car width in on the entry for that car, and it's got the rear end set up nice and loose to make good with that all-wheel drive. But in front, last lap through, Joe Moser reset the fast lap of the race. He started to check out even more. So these guys are racing for, I think they're going to be stuck racing for third here.
Kind of looks like it, because we would expect Girazzi to only get a little bit quicker relative to the others as this race unfolds. So it is the battle for the podium is on right now. Herr and Cabrera dueling it out, but here comes Liller. Look at the ground that neon makes up in a straight line.
Big turbo on that car, and it's got plenty of steam down that front straightaway. And I think if Cabrera continues to have those braking issues here and there, that car is not going to get better. It can only get a little bit worse. So Liller has the easier job of just going by on the straightaway if he can get there.
Yeah, clearly if he gets close in 13, he's got a real shot at this, as we're watching that beautiful Audi of Chip Herr working his way through. And in the day, Chip oftentimes would also run in World Challenge GT, and it was I can't remember the guy's name, but it was this tiger painted Corvette. And Chip, it doesn't matter, small car, big car, Chip was quick.
Still is, clearly.
Yeah,
still doing a good job.
Is he? Very good point. Oh, but well, I'll tell you, Carrera, that car in the twisty bits, he just really can flow speed.
He's absolutely hustling it. You see, he's got it set up pretty soft too, a lot of body roll, and if the car, you can control it that way, it tends to make a lot of mechanical grip when it pushes that tire into the surface. So the car is clearly working pretty well. Someone on the rev limiter, I think he might have missed a shift. Yeah, look at Cabrera just dropped back a bunch of distance from Herr, and you heard that kind of popping. I don't know if he forgot to shift or if he had a mechanical issue, but we'll have to see if that continues to develop.
Yeah, and that's bringing Liller a little bit closer still. Here comes Girazzi, margin for Moser right now, up over 7 seconds. He is just flying. Then Herr, but let's see Liller now. He's close, he's gonna get a little bit of a toe, and he's got a big head of steam. Is he gonna be able to do anything? He's thinking about it, looks to the inside, he just wasn't quite close enough. That was right there. Mark Liller chose wisely. Yeah,
he did. And we're impressed with the straight line speed of that car, but I'm impressed with the brakes. He was on the brakes really late there and didn't have to do a bailout maneuver. He knows that that car can stop. So if he can get a little bit closer than that, I would be a little worried if I were Axel Cabrera in the Civic.
And as a driver in pursuit, you know, once the visor comes down, your ability for compassion and empathy and all that for your competitor is just literally wiped clean. And you see a car that's lighting up tires and looks to be struggling, you just smile a little bit because you go, all right, now I got to hound him.
Might as well be blood in the water, that's for sure. And,
yep. Yeah, I've always said it, race car drivers, by nature, you have to be successful. You guys are a greedy bunch.
You guys? Who are you calling you guys? No, I'll take that. And it's always easier to chase, too. I think
yes.
You know, Cabrera at this point has got to be feeling that that a little bit of pressure is Liller getting a little bigger in his mirrors every lap, although this lap he's pulled away just a little bit. But for Liller, he's got that little carrot to chase and continue to pursue. So that's a little bit more motivating than when you're feeling the pressure from the front.
Girazzi just flowing speed and that beautiful Lotus. Just such a pretty car, isn't it? And it gets around in a big hurry. It's so well balanced, so easy on tires. Last lap times here. Yeah, right now Moser's pretty much in a different zip code in terms of the speed he's been able to turn.
And consistently, he's been in the 1-minute 47-second range since the green flag dropped, and he hasn't shown signs of slowing down. He's been within about a half second. Liller now looks to the outside.
He got there now. And he got in a little bit too hot. But boy, he was out and alongside. I think if he'd brake just a smidge sooner, he may have also had an eyeball on that car up in front, wondering, is he going to turn in? What do I need to be worried about here? And then he floated just a little bit wide. But now he knows he can do it. He's just got to get close again and be able to make that move. And you know that Cabrera is going to be way down to the inside, or at least down the middle of the track. But Liller has shown it. He's got pretty good brakes, too. So look at this. Looks like they're starting to close up a little bit on Girazzi. Herr is, anyway. Yeah, he just ran a lap that was 2/10 quicker than Girazzi.
Yeah, Girazzi certainly slipped a little bit that time through, and it was a good job from Tim Hunter in the Volvo to get up out of the way down there in turn 1. That's an ex-pro racing car as well. But Liller has been pretty far back through the first sector, and then all of a sudden down that back straightaway, he closes a nice and tight big slide from Cabrera.
He is just, he's got that car by the scruff right now, doesn't he? Just carrying it. Look at Herr. He has run down Girazzi. And I wonder if, you know, Chip, with the weight of that Audi and everything, just said, I got to wait a little bit here, to, even with that caution, to keep the tires on it, and now I can go. Girazzi a little wide. Herr's going to pop to the outside. Watch for the over-under here. Boy, he got a run. Up and around the outside through 14. Now Girazzi with that inside line is able to take it back, but I think Chip Herr is coming, and Liller has lost a lot of ground. As looks like Cabrera is going to catch a toe as well. This is on, Tom.
This is for second place. The over-under became the over again for Chip Herr, so he had to go the long way, but he's going to look to the inside just in case he goes on the brakes. Sure enough, up the inside, and Girazzi pretty much lets it happen.
Yeah, didn't fight it too hard. And Chip, even with that early turn, and you saw that little bit of lockup from that right rear, but he got the nose down to the apex, so we have a new second-place car. Now Girazzi slips into third, but Cabrera is right there.
We were speculating whether or not Chip Herr hit the go button. I think Girassi is having an issue. He's slowed down by about 4 seconds from his best lap time in the last 2 laps. He's gone significantly slower. So unfortunately, the Lotus looks to be floundering just a little bit. But
yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe back to pace. It's hard to say. But Cabrera has not found an easy way by.
Oh, we got a spin here. The number 8 going around. Unfortunate for Maury Doyle out of Indy. And his that's another of the neons. And, oh, all right, you got it going. No caution here as we're into the final 10 minutes of this race. And while it looks to be all Moser for the front, oh, I thought that we might see Cabrera give Girassi a little nudge. Was able to avoid it. Now lap traffic here. That's our spinner. Doing everything he can to try and stay out of the way. Boy, that right rear on Cabrera's car has got to be down to cords here. So fun to be calling a race with Chip Herr in it again. Did that for a number of seasons, and this is great stuff, and he's put in a good drive, but just nobody has anything for Moser right now. He's still lapping 1.5 seconds quicker than almost anybody out there. Now let's see if Girassi, using that toe, we saw that Lotus be able to have some decent speed. We know it's good on the brakes, but Chip Herr just stayed right there. And that was something that was really savvy by Chip, is he parked him a little bit. He didn't start his turn in until he made sure that Girassi couldn't cut down underneath. That's smart racecraft, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a savvy race car driver. If you put yourself in the place the other guy wants to go, you haven't blocked him by any unfair measure. You've just absolutely protected your spot. And it looks like the Audi may be holding up a little bit in some of the tighter corners. I think the heavier car with the heavy front end might be struggling a bit in that, where Girassi can flow a little bit more momentum. But otherwise, the Audi looks strong as they're coming through pretty significant lap traffic at this point. Herr going for every bit of draft that he can. And Girassi's going to get through as well. Cabrera might be compromised just a bit.
A little bit. Looks like he did okay with that, but we saw that charge by Liller, and now he's dropped off a bit, running about 1 second or so off of this group in the last couple of laps. And Cabrera now, this is exactly what Chip wants, is to have Cabrera get in and mess with Girassi and allow him to ease away a little bit.
That's the other thing that backing Girassi up did for Chip Herr, is put him in the clutches of Axel Cabrera, who we've seen is not afraid to make a move here and there whenever he can. Hasn't been particularly picky about when he makes those moves, just goes for it when he sees the opening. So that Civic is certainly still lurking. Also wanted to note, last time by, Joe Moser was pretty significantly off his pace, but we haven't seen him come back to these guys or anything yet. So maybe a bit of an anomaly there, hopefully for his sake.
Yeah, right. I mean, his margin is up to over 10 seconds, so Moser certainly has the ability right now to just back it off just a little bit, but you don't want it to come in too big a chunk. This is going to be interesting. Here goes Chip. Girassi wanted to go, but Chip played that perfectly, and Girassi just hunting a little bit here, but the guy that's going to get caught out now is Cabrera, and he wasn't able to get through down into turn 1. So that is going to give Girassi the ability now to sort of mentally turn those mirrors down and just focus on Chip.
And that might have given Mark Liller a moment to come up towards Axel Cabrera. We'll see what worked out there. Didn't really, but now they're all through on that lap traffic, and Chip Herr and Anthony Girassi, and 2 former pro racing cars from about a decade apart, continuing to battle hard.
They really are putting on a good battle here and dealing with traffic. That's, oh, nice job by the car. They're trying to stay tight, not get in anybody's way, but he almost lost it and had to make a big save. Down through 7. Here's 8. This next turn, you've got to be up on that exit curb and get there early, just like that. That's the fast arc through that corner. Coming up on 5 minutes to go, Tomo.
kind of surprised to see Herr not using more of that curb at the apex of turn 10, but maybe just taking it easy on the equipment while he doesn't need to be absolutely on top of it. But I think that kind of allowed Gerasi to close up. Cabrera gets hung out just a little bit again. He's got to be getting a little bit frustrated. No one's completely put him out of this race, but every time they come across those lap traffic, he ends up a car width off of where he wants to be.
Yeah. Sometimes traffic, what's the old saying, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And right now it's Gerasi trying to take away second from Herr, and he got that move done early. Oh, then he moved over. That was a little bit sketchy, and Herr now just pops to the outside. It's going to open that arc up. And after that little move, I wouldn't be surprised if Herr just forces his way through.
Oh man, Gerasi kind of got what he asked for there, if you ask me. He just got turned across the nose of Chip Herr, was way too aggressive down the front straight, and then didn't leave any sort of racing room coming out of turn 1. So that's going to put him back behind Mark Liller, he picked the fight. Yep,
exactly. And I realize that visibility through the back of that Lotus isn't quite like it is for some of the other cars, but you know, you got to assume that that guy's going to be alongside. And that little bit of a turn in, that just lit Chip's fuse a little bit.
A little bit, yep. Just start to subtract the racing room. You give the guy just down to that inch that you're supposed to leave, and he didn't get the inch in return.
Yeah, and it all started before they got to turn in, down in turn 1. The start of it had already happened right there, and Chip then popped out, and at this point, he wasn't going to give it up.
See if that allowed Cabrera to get any closer when we cut back to live shots. Liller gets through too.
Yeah, and it did help Cabrera. He's right there once again.
You just hope that the Audi has no alignment problems there at their front. So see Herr all the way out to the wall on entry, opening the car up. Now he's starting to wheel the thing just a bit. He's only got 3 minutes left to keep those tires under it, and it's for a silver medal, so it's worth going for.
You bet. And I'm impressed that Cabrera's been able to keep that right rear alive here, and I don't think he cares at this stage. If he comes across the boards, fine by him as long as there's a medal involved.
Yeah, maybe he's tested it. Maybe it's set up to be just 19 laps worth of tire there on the right rear.
That's a really good point. And Gerasi sitting back there in that 4th spot now. And did he get back around Liller? He did, it appears. So here we go. 2 minutes, 50 seconds yet to go. Moser's lead. With all of that was just going on. Moser now almost 20 seconds clear of the field. That is dominant.
Yeah, just noticing Mark Liller actually dropping down our timing screen pretty significantly.
Yeah.
So that SRT4 may be having a mechanical issue, but this guy, we haven't seen much of him, but he is checked out.
Yeah, it has just been an absolute clinic that he has put on here. Just a superb run in this car that they felt was going to be good. Got it confirmed early in the season with a couple of track records. They knew the car was fast. And he's in that rhythm right now. You see that car is still squirming and moving around, but he just feels it. And why not? He's going for that gold here.
Absolutely no drama, though. It's on the limit, but just butter smooth. And he has kind of resumed his fast laps. When we pointed out he had that one slip-up lap, maybe some lap traffic or something. But the Moser's just absolutely at the front or dominant everywhere. This car, I don't know if this specific car, but they used to race in the improved touring ranks regionally. We're absolutely dominant there. Then coming to STL, National Champions, E-Production, National Champions. And here he is.
White flag, 1 to go. And let's give a shout out to King Motorsport. Every time you see in these categories, whenever you see something that's prepped and built by King Motorsport, it's always near the front. That team does an absolutely superb job.
They've got the formula down, I have to imagine, for the CRX platform. Moving to the Prelude for a little bit and then coming back to the CRX. I think he's got to feel at home in this car.
Yeah, just flowing speed around this track. And what's nice when you have a big lead like that, you can pick your moment in traffic, and you don't have to worry about another big lock up there by Cabrera. Boy, he is doing everything he can. You know, silver is just a little bit better than bronze. Bronze isn't bad, but silver's a little bit better, and he's not going to give up until that checker flies. But Chip Herr, with all of his pro racing experience over the years, he's used to pressure.
Sure is, and I'm curious if these guys talk after the race who think has the worst equipment at the end of the race. Is it the heavy Audi with the front engine, or is it the front-wheel drive car that's using the front wheels for everything? Because both of them have to be, after 35 minutes of hard lapping, both of them have to be using up the tire just a little bit. They've stagnated perfectly between the two of them, though.
And that's the idea, isn't it, with the race cars? At the end of the race, you should have used almost everything up. You drive that hard, especially in these 40-minute national championship sprints. And Chip Herr was patient, and then when he made his move, he stuck. He had to work hard to defend it, and has done that to perfection. And here comes Moser, just working his way around here. Again, that's what I'm talking about with the patience. Doesn't have to do anything untoward. Up onto the front straight, Joe Moser, a second straight national championship, but in a different category. The man is on a roll. Joe Moser, King Motorsport, absolutely fabulous drive. Here's the battle for that final the final two medals. And Chip Herr out of 13 and through 14 had just enough over Cabrera onto the front straight. And welcome to the Runoffs medals and the podium, Chip Herr and Cabrera. Boy, what a gutsy drive by him. Just did everything he possibly could to hang in there and put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, did a fantastic job from fourth on the grid up to third to get that bronze medal. Girassi in the yellow Exige in the background still taking fourth after that kind of awkward moment down in turns 1 and 2 with Chip Herr. But this guy waving to the crowd, another gold medal around his neck for Joe Moser.
Absolutely, just absolutely superb. And Osirie Pena in the Toyota brings it home in 5th. And look at Kip van Steenberg after dropping outside of the top 10. That Porsche came alive late in the race and ends up in the 7th spot. So nice run for him. A couple of guys battling here as they're coming to the line. They are crossing the yard of bricks at Indy. Even though it may not have been for the win, they were pushing and giving it absolutely everything possible, and that's why you're here. And everybody now having the opportunity to enjoy a cool-down lap. Obviously, Moser is going to be elated, but these two guys here, Herr and Cabrera, they put on a great show for us, for the fans, and they earned these two medals as well.
They did get the better race, I will say. Joe Moser got a really awesome qualifying / time attack kind of session there. Chip Herr and Axel Cabrera got to race each other hard, and even if it's not for the position you came here for, they both came here for gold, I can promise you that. But to go home with a really good race is sometimes every bit as fulfilling.
Absolutely. I think the bench racing after this one with those two guys is going to be fun if you can listen to it. You're going to have a good time. Can't wait. And again, Girassi, Pena completing the top 5. Then Huntley, Van Steenberg, Treacle, Barberi, and John Weisberg rounding out your top 10. Weisberg has done a bit of World Challenge racing as well. So a good run for him as the cars are making their way down toward the victory circle area. And we're going to hear a visit from our gold medalist, and then as he sets off on his lap of honor, we'll be able to hear from our other two medalists. You can see all that oil drag. Looks like somebody missed turn into pit lane.
Wanted to cross those bricks one more time.
One more time. One more time. There is Mr. Moser. He has just been superb here. Has always been super quick, but they really have given him a great platform, and he has wheeled it really stoutly. There goes the medal around the neck for Joe Moser. Let's get down to Hayward.
Well, guys, you can probably tell adrenaline is pumping hard. His hands are a little shaky. Joe, you made it look easy, but it clearly was not. How hard is it to go 4 or 5 laps under caution to start a race, just the butterflies and the nerves?
Yeah, at first, the first 2 laps of that caution, your nerves are still real high, and then you try to settle in, and you're just sitting there waiting for it to go again. And you get a calm before the storm. So I felt that. Then you got to heat the tires up and get ready. Let's go.
This car has been a long journey for you. You were in STL with it last year. It goes back to the days of improved touring. You had some time at the Prelude as well. How good does it feel to come back to this chassis? Is this the car is this the soulmate?
Yeah, you know, I've been racing CRXs my whole life, so I had to go back to what works, and this car is an absolute pleasure. I love it. It does everything right, and, you know, my dad's in here with me, so it feels good.
Well, big congratulations to you. Another championship. Enjoy your victory lap.
Hey, thanks so much, and thank you, Hoosier, Carbotech, and King Motorsports, and my family. I love you all.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of support is everything in this sport, as you well know. Boy, what a view there, isn't it? Even though it's a little bit of a cloudy day, look at how full this paddock is. We said almost 900 entries. This place is jammed.
Absolutely jammed. And you could see Joe kind of wavering between elation and emotion.
Yes.
As he kind of gave that interview there. And maybe Hayward can give us a view of the right rear tire on Axel Cabrera's car when he steps down to second and third.
Yeah, that'd be fun to have a look at that tire. There can't be much left of it on that third place car. And let's hear from our silver and bronze medalists, Hayward.
Chip, the first thing you said when you came out of the car was that felt like a touring race. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it was at the start of the race, you know, a little bumping and rubbing, but that's all expected. And I thought I got a great start, and I just started looking in my mirror. It was filled. Man, everybody drove so clean and such close racing. I still both my mirrors. The Carbotech brakes kept us stopping all day, and the Hoosiers, they held up the whole race, and I had to hold them up to the end because the third place car was coming, and we were faster in different spots. But I want to attribute the four rings for the Quattro to help me pull me out. So I'm just happy to be back with this car that I kind of developed in mid-2000s in World Challenge. And to run STU is a blessing that SCCA made a class for these older cars to race in, and we're in the top three.
What's it like to battle for position when you've got different weights of cars, size of car, power, tech?
You just have to really, really analyze where people are fast, and then you have to just see where you're good and try to put your car where they're good. So what a fantastic day. It's just an honor to be here, and this is awesome. Indy is just fantastic. I love this track.
Well, congratulations on the silver. Your first runoffs, correct?
Yes.
And another first-timer in third. Fourth on the grid, third on the podium. How's that feel?
Good, good. I mean, we first time here at the runoffs, qualified, and just went out on a limb. It worked out. We're fourth qualifying, and now here in the race, was able to get third, keeping up there, kind of, you know, but awesome. I mean, this track is awesome. All the cars are awesome. The class felt great. I'm just happy and excited, and it was fun.
Always a happy person on the third place podium. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you can hear the emotion there. I think he was fighting it, and I have to say, I'm really annoyed with Chip Herr, because it's 15 years later. I look rough. He looks exactly the same. That's just not fair.
How dare he?
I know, and he still drives the same way too.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
You still commentate the same though, Greg.
Oh, I'll get you that 20 later.
There you go. But you can see Axel Cabrera. He didn't drive like he was surprised to be there, but I think he was kind of surprised to be there on the podium. It's just a great performance.
I think he was literally just, oh my goodness, yeah. It's fantastic. Here's your top 10. Again, Moser, Herr, and Cabrera in the medals. Girazzi was right up in the hunt all day. Jose Osiris, Pena rounding out your top 5. Huntley, Van Steenberg, a nice comeback drive. Then Darren Treacle, Ian Barberi, and John Weisberg rounding out your top 10. And you see there Joe Moser out and around on his lap of honor. And let's take a look at some highlights from this run to the gold in STU. At the start, you see the big blow up there in the back, and sort of shuffled everything. We ended up with a long caution on the restart. Moser got a good start, but watch the moves here, and it was Girazzi who had a superb restart.
Got to the point, but then we got to have this amazing battle develop between these 4 cars and kind of diminished down to 3 and then to 2 ultimately, as Axel Cabrera just hounded Chip Herr before they finally caught Anthony Girazzi.
Big moment there, you know, as well. I mean, he was on it here. Here comes Chip Herr down and underneath, taking the spot away from Girazzi, and they weren't done yet. Cabrera right in the mix as well, having a good run. And here is that big moment here as Girazzi comes up around, and then for some reason just starts moving over on Chip, and they had a little bit of a touch. Chip said, want none of that, popped to the outside, got on the more grippy part of the track, was able to flow the speed, and right there Girazzi just tried to fight with it, had a little bit of contact, and around he went. He hung on for 4th, but Chip was able to come around and finish 2nd, but it was that orange CRX of Joe Moser bringing home the win, and there was Herr and Cabrera coming through for 2nd and 3rd at the 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, and there is your new champion, at least in this class. He won a championship last year, just completing his lap of honor. And that's going to wrap up our coverage here of the Run to the Gold in STU here at the Runoffs. Again, a big thanks to Mazda for presenting our broadcast. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. For Tom O'Gorman and Hayward Wagner, I'm Greg Creamer. We look forward to doing it again. Take care, everybody.
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Haggerty, whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Haggerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land, where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.